Welcome to Rochester Business Connections, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC, where I get the chance to chat with Rochester, New York's very best business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. I am your host, Ben Albert. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, we don't do advertisements. My fee for this show is simple. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Let's get started. I am here with Nate Hasto of Hasto and Associates. Nate, welcome to Rochester Business Connections.
Happy to be here, Ben. Thanks so much for the invite.
Absolutely. I'm happy to have you here. Ultimately, Nate is currently growing his organization. He's building relationships. From a bird's eye view, tell the viewers exactly what you do.
Yeah, big picture is we really take the time, Ben, to teach people how money works. We found, both through my own experiences and talking with a lot of people at this point, that unfortunately you go to school, you get a good education, but oftentimes it doesn't include anything about personal finance and how to manage that long term when you start earning. So teaching people about how money works and helping them get the most out of whatever it is they want to accomplish with that money is really what our whole practice is about.
Perfect. So let's pull back a couple layers. How exactly do you do that? Is there specific, if I were to give you a call right now and say, I'm a blank looking for blank, do you have a niche market, an ideal client, or do you pretty much help just about anybody?
We certainly can help pretty much anyone. However, I would say the people that we've been helping most consistently, I really do love personally working with younger couples who are getting serious about their money. I think there's just a massive impact that you can make for someone in their 20s to mid 30s, even if they've done nothing right up until that point. Which, by the way, they wouldn't be alone. I was in that boat a lot myself early on. There's the ability to right that ship, and they still have quite a bit of time to get where they're really trying to go. And at the same time, it seems very consistently, as we're working with people in that age bracket, they have their, aunts, uncles, moms, dads that are getting ready to retire and want to make sure that they can do the things they want in retirement and that they're going to be okay. So I would say those are typically the two markets that we seem to be working with most. And I know for a fact we can have a big impact with.
Yeah, definitely a big impact. I'm one of those people that started late, did terrible with money the first 25 plus years of my life. And I'm actually meeting with Nate next week to talk a little bit about that. So it's never too late to get your finances in order, right?
Never. Yeah, I think, you can never change the past, but when you have new knowledge, new information, you do have the ability now to make a difference for whatever your future looks like. So I think less wallowing in the past for those of us, myself included, who maybe didn't do everything right off the get-go, but tomorrow's a new day. Make the most of it.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about what brought you to here today. I'm a big why guy. I'm curious about your story and ultimately why you got into the industry. Some of the things, maybe just things, peaks and valleys in the journey, pitfalls, issues. I mean, did you plan to become a financial advisor? And tell me a little bit how that journey looked to get here.
Yeah, I think that's probably why we've hit it off so quickly, Ben, is I'm also a why guy. I annoyed people forever. I was that little kid. Your parents would tell you not to do something. You're like, why? And it's not that I was challenging them necessarily, although there were times that I was, but I just wanted to know what the purpose of, what's the bigger picture here? And to answer your other question, no, I didn't set out in my journey, getting a college degree to become a financial advisor. I took a little bit of a windy path to get here. I'll give you the shorter version, and if people are interested in getting all the nitty-gritty details, I'm always happy to share. But I went to school locally here, got a degree in marketing, and I still really love and I'm intrigued by marketing, but I just don't think that it was really my path per se. But I'm glad that I took all those classes and learned what I did. Sometimes you go to college to learn what you don't really want to do long term. And sometimes it's almost as valuable as learning what you do want to do because you can cross some things off the list. Um, but after I graduated, I started working for a medical company, doing outside sales, and I was actually servicing the finance sector. Covered about half of New York State doing it. Did it for 2.5, 3 years ish, and really liked it. It was a great gig. It paid well, which was also nice. But I found very quickly that even though I got a business degree and I was making pretty decent money, I didn't really know what I was supposed to do with it. I come from a lower middle income, family here in Rochester. Lovely family. We just didn't have money coming out of our ears. There were a lot of rough years. And all the advice I had ever gotten about personal finance was from my parents. And to their credit, some of it was good advice. It was, use a budget, avoid credit cards, and, spend less than you make. Okay, well, that's easy enough. And I actually listened to that advice, but I found myself in a place where I became aware that this wasn't really what you needed to do to win. This was the advice that they give you when they say, hey, don't step on that landmine. You're like, who? Okay, I won't do that. But it doesn't get you anywhere remarkable, I guess you could say. So I was looking for ways to really just boost the potential that I would have for my future. And I was making good enough money to do that, but I couldn't find in all, so much information on the internet, but you don't really know if it's tailored to you or not. It's kind of general information. You hear one site says this, the other one says the complete opposite. You're like, who the heck do I trust? And I can't ask questions here so well. So without just getting, an internet troll answering you on a forum. So I started reaching out to a bunch of the financial advisors, rather, that were clients of mine at that time. I had upwards of 5,000 contacts in the industry, and really just let them know I had no game plan, but I wanted to have one, and I needed some help setting it up. So after about 9 of those meetings, which went something a little like, Nate, let me tell you how great our company is. Nate, let me tell you why our products are better than everyone else. Nate, let me tell you what you're going to be buying from me today. I was just exhausted mentally, emotionally. I feel like I'm in the same place that I was a month and a half ago, except I'm just more tired now. and honestly, probably more confused as well. But the 10th guy that I sat down with, I ended up working with for a couple months. I figured something was better than nothing, and I had nothing going on at that point. So he sold me a bunch of stuff in those several months, and I couldn't have explained it to anyone else what I was investing in, or how I was investing, or if I was investing, for that matter. And it got to be too much. Wasn't answering any of my questions. And I decided to start reading all my contracts and all the paperwork that I'd been given. And lo and behold, what my contract said and what was told to me verbally were two different things. Congratulations, Nate. You got tooken, got taken, whatever the right phrase is for that.
Swindled.
Yeah, swindled. That's a good word, actually. I'm gonna use that. And it ticked me off enough that I spent the remainder of my time with that company learning as much as I could about the finance industry. And lo and behold, the stuff I was sold was the stuff that paid the highest commissions, come to find out. And I still really had no plan. I was just paying a bill every single month with this stuff. So I learned a lot about how to fix that and what really was out there, and more about the companies and about the actual products and how they were compensated. And I really ended up in a position where I wanted to leave my job because I didn't feel like I was supporting an industry that did what it said it was going to do in a lot of cases. There are a lot of great finance people out there, by the way, but there are also a lot of them that don't really do a good job taking care of people and doing the right thing. But at that point, I was really just looking to make a leap. And my company helped me because they decided to cut everyone's compensation significantly. So it was the nudge I needed to leave and really go head first into this. And I've been doing it for several years now, and it's been awesome. But getting licensed and certified and focusing around really trying to create the experience that I had been looking for. And thankfully, it's been well received.
That's amazing. I love the story, and I love that you give the advice not to keep things cookie cutter. Ultimately, it sounds like you're tailoring your advice to your clients' needs because you were swindled and ultimately ripped off and given bad advice in the past. So it's more than just making a sale. It's making a good relationship and helping the client.
Absolutely. We want all of our clients to be long-term clients. I'm not really interested in the transactional stuff. I care about the people that we work with. And, that's the beauty, I think, about running your own business. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why you decided to go out on your own as well, is I don't have to work with certain people if I don't want to work with them. Therefore, if you have the choice to pick awesome people that you can work with, you should pick awesome people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want to have that really positive anticipation when I'm going to talk with clients, not that pit in my gut, like, oh, geez, I don't like calling this person. So that's probably a sign I might not be the right fit to be working with them.
Yeah, there's a beauty in being able to walk away
Yeah,
when you're not looking at metrics and ultimately numbers and goals that the company gives you, to the point that some people do unethical things, and having that ability and the autonomy to walk away from someone who isn't going to be a good fit, good for both people's relationship. So
absolutely.
yeah, so absolutely. You obviously a Rochester business owner. How long or have you lived in Rochester? Are you native here?
I am, yeah, born and raised. I grew up in the Spencerport area. Went to school there, and also stayed on in the same general area for school. Went to SUNY Brockport. But yeah, I've traveled elsewhere, and I continue to feel like Rochester really is a great place to grow up. It's a great place to raise a family. Um, Boy, if you look at the cost of living elsewhere compared to the quality of life that we have here, I think it's a little hidden gem personally. And it has that small town feel, but there's roughly 1 million people in the greater Rochester area, so it's not tiny by any stretch of the imagination. So I think it's great. I love living in Rochester. Boy, if the winters were a little shorter, this would be even a better place to be.
I'm with you. I mean, we're in the midst of fall, and the fall weather right now is immaculate, beautiful. But again, we have a shortfall. Winter's coming soon. That's the turmoil of anyone from Rochester. And you've traveled, been other places. You come back. What are some specific favorite parts about Rochester? Even if it's just a small time place you like to go on a weekend, is there anything that you love about the area in particular?
Yeah. I think one of the best parts about living in this part of the state is how close we are. Day trips, hour trips away from really awesome access to nature. We're not stuck in the big city like the city. South and east of us is, and being able to go to places like Letchworth and Stony Brook, and
Mm.
Watkins Glen is always a blast. But this whole pandemic has actually opened some more opportunities to some of these places that I've never been before. I've seen people taking pictures in. I have friends and family who have gone, and I'm like, you know what? I really do want to get out and see some more of this gorgeous state that we live in. And I believe one of the most gorgeous parts of the state that we live in is, where we've got right now, Southern Tier, Central New York has some awesome places to go. And who could forget about the Finger Lakes, right? I think anytime you're around those, it's awe-inspiring. You see why people come from all over the country to either buy homes or spend time in wine country. It's just unbelievable what we've got right in our backyard.
Amen to that. I agree on everything you just said. And the pandemic has been a time where a lot of people have spent more time in nature, because you kind of rethink your entire life in the state of the current world. How have you rethought your business? Has there been any struggles this past year, and how'd you get out of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there are some things that we've definitely changed during this whole pandemic, and I think the biggest gift of this, in my opinion, is it's made people more comfortable with the technology that they have at their fingertips. I can remember almost 3 years ago now, getting referred to people who were in different states and doing the meetings through Zoom and struggling the entire time, because not only was I just learning the software myself, but now I'm sitting here trying to teach someone else the software remotely. And I'm like, I didn't sign up to be the tech guy. I never wanted to be an IT professional. It was just not part of my goals and dreams. And it was extremely frustrating 2 to 3 years ago. But today, I really do believe for our business, the biggest blessing of all of this has been twofold. One, uh, the pandemic was the thing that was forcing people to learn technology, not me. So I didn't have to twist anyone's arm into becoming proficient. And two, it really made people rethink how they've been living their lives financially. So many people that I've been in touch with and will be in touch with have let me know that, boy, I just didn't realize that my paycheck could just stop. People need to have a solid emergency fund and a solid emergency plan. And that's one of the things that we preach very consistently. And there were several of our clients who have done well in that aspect and not only weren't stressed in the same way that other people were during this pandemic, but also took advantage of the situation, and we're in a position to do so. So it's awesome when you see people getting those wins. And there were some people who called and asked about doing something like that, but you got to let them know. You just got to do the right thing in their best interest, and just let them know exactly where they're at. That, hey, maybe next time, but you got to get some more cash in the bank first. So, it's there's a lot of stuff that's changed, but I think it's just been a nice reminder. It's boy, it made very clear for some people that they weren't in as good a position as they thought they were.
Yeah, yeah. And that's all. That's the thing about financial planning. You want to be prepared for an emergency. And we're all at different places in life at different times. Obviously, you know what you're doing now, but like me, like anyone, we've made some mistakes when we were younger. If you were to talk to, let's say, teenager self and put them in a position to be proactive and ultimately be above the bell curve in their financial goals at a young age, is there a certain book, piece of advice, or anything that you'd impart on them to ultimately speed up the process going forward?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things that I'd say. One's a general concept. The other is a book. I'll talk about the general concept first, though. One of the concepts I wish that I had really understood, and I totally could have, because it's like a fifth grade level of math understanding. We'll get you to the point where you can really grasp this. But the concept of the rule of 72 and understanding how that impacts your ability to double money in the long term. When I was younger, I had a pretty decent job during college, working retail sales. I made pretty good money doing it. I had people telling me, Nate, you should be putting money away into the investments. You should do that because it'll grow. And I'm like, okay, it'll grow. I don't really know what that means. I assume that just means that I'm putting in $100 and then I'm going to put in $100 next week and I'll have $200 after that. But I didn't really get how that whole investing process worked. So I wish that someone would have sat me down, back at 16, 17, 18 and said, by the way, this is how it works. It blew my mind when I actually wrote out those numbers years later. And I was like, shoot, I wish that I would have started this sooner. Everyone says that, by the way. It doesn't matter what age they learn about it. But I think getting that through to young people of the opportunity that they really have right now for making their lives in the future so much better, and making their lives easier in the future too, it's something I'd love to get across to them. So anytime I have a chance to talk with a young person, that's always something that I bring up. Unfortunately, not as many of them as I would hope take advantage of that stuff. But you can lead a horse to water, right? You can't make them drink. And now that they've got it, hopefully that seed sprouts sooner than later for them. The other thing that I would say people should read is, it just opened my mind. My disclaimer on this is always, if you want to remain a really good employee, I wouldn't recommend reading the book. If you've always had aspirations to be something more, no poo-pooing on employment, by the way. I think it's great for most people, but there are some people who just they're not cut out for employment. They're built for something like business ownership. But reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which was a short read, also a great thing. I think I read it in like a day and a half or something. Just completely broke those walls down for me on taking that leap to own something versus just rent my position at a corporation. So I think if that's something that someone's interested in, it really puts it in plain English how this whole system works, and I think that's invaluable. But that's my disclaimer. If you want to remain a good employee, don't read the book.
Oh, it's true, and there's nothing wrong with being a high quality employee and even being a solopreneur in a company where you have a lot of autonomy there. But I haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad yet, but people keep on recommending it. So that ultimately is on my list now. Never too late to read it. Like you said, it's never too late to start. And great. I love what we've heard today. I want to move into some rapid fire questions just so the listeners can just know a little bit more about you as a person, and then we'll close up with a couple questions at the end. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Sweet. Coffee or tea?
I don't drink a lot of either, but I prefer tea.
What about beer or wine?
Definitely beer.
Okay.
Wine makes me sneeze. I like wine, but I think I might be allergic to something in it.
Interesting.
I don't have the full explanation. So, story at
11. and I ask those questions, but at the core, I'm a water guy.
Same. That's what I'm drinking right now. Obviously, it's noon, but also water afternoon too.
Are you a morning person or a night owl? A little bit of both.
I prefer to be up early, although some days it feels like I'm both.
I hear that. Do you have a favorite season of the year?
I do. I really do like fall. The end of summer, early fall, I think is absolutely gorgeous here. The temperature is a little less humid, which is great. But I can't complain during summer either. It's so short here. But if I had to pick a season, I love fall.
Love it. Social media platform. Where do you like to hang out the most? Where should we find you on social media?
The best way to find me is on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. We've got a business page up on Facebook where we're trying to share some helpful tips, some interesting thoughts to keep people engaged there. But yeah, I definitely spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I just really enjoy the value that people continue to try and share on that platform more than anywhere else, and it feels like there's less divisive talk there and more collaborative talk. So I really appreciate that.
I'm in agreement. I just recently started actually using LinkedIn as someone who loves Facebook. LinkedIn is Facebook for people that want to create positive relationships. So I recommend it, and there is less divisive talk there. In agreement. One last question. It's the most polarizing of all of them. Android or iOS?
I've used both, but I did several years ago make the shift over to iOS. I've been happy. The devices, they've got me. I have like 4 or 5 different devices, and they all talk to each other really nicely. So no problems with any of them. I want things that are simple and that work. I'm frustrated when things get overly complex when I don't feel that they need to be, and Apple keeps knocking it out of the park. So until they stop doing that, that's probably where I'll be.
Love it. We only talked for a little bit. Is there anything I should have asked you and I maybe would have if I knew a little bit more about you and your business?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I think we covered a lot of the highlights, Ben. I'm sure that there's probably stuff that we'll cover in the future here as we continue to get to know each other. But I think you hit a lot of the good points. So good job interviewing, man.
Cool. No, and you hit a so many points, good recommendations, tips for us to go forward. Just to hit a grand slam at the end here, do you got a single tip to close out with that we didn't already touch on?
Yeah, I think this is just some advice that really I was given years ago, and it changed the way that I looked at every single day. And it was really just to fall in love, whatever you're doing, fall in love with the process. I think so many people are in love with the idea of the destination that they don't enjoy the process along the way. And if you've ever, been super excited on Christmas Eve, I think it's just such a great illustration of this. Christmas Eve, I think, is even more exciting than Christmas Day. You have the anticipation of great things to come. And if you ignored that feeling and only wanted the destination of Christmas morning, I think that time of year, that season would be less fun. So I think if you fall in love with the process and just whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis, progress is guaranteed. It may not be as quickly as you want to get there, but you will make progress if you continue to do those things with the best of your ability. So that's what I've tried to implement in my day-to-day life, and I hope that helps someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody fall in love with the process, enjoy each day. Ultimately, we don't know how long it'll take us to get there, but you'll get there if you're enjoying it as you go. Lots of good value here, Nate. Obviously, Nate Hasto on LinkedIn, Hasto Associates on Facebook, right?
Yep. And it's a Hasto if you're looking on Facebook. But you can also find it right from my personal Facebook page. Should be linked up on there too. I try and share most of that stuff on my personal. So you can find us one way or another that way.
And you're open to new connections, right? If someone wants to send you an email or a DM or anything like that.
Absolutely. Yep. Would love to be in contact. If it's not something that I can help you with, I'm always happy to chat and try and get you into the right hands. So do quite a bit of networking, looking to continue to do that. Always love meeting people.
Thanks again for coming on the show, Nate. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me, Ben. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to Rochester Business Connections. Don't forget to share this, rate, and comment on your favorite platform. You can also email me, ben@balbertmarketing.com. Let's connect soon. Until then, keep thriving, everyone.